Hi everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Power of Knowing Forums. Join the C-Suite Talks, a LinkedIn Live episode 219. This month we are celebrating Women Leadership Month, March 2025. We are talking about her voice, her power, her story, her journey, her impact. And to have that impact felt, today we are having a discussion on the topic of women, voice, and impact, unleashing the power of expression. To have this topic discussed, we have Aastha, a corporate coach and a business leader. Without further ado, let's welcome Aastha to the podcast event. Hi, Aastha. Welcome to our podcast. How are
Hi,
you today?
Prem. Super excited to be here, and more particularly since it's about women. Really, really happy. Looking forward.
Yeah, wonderful. So I would like to start with your view on how women should be celebrated as
Ah,
just pulling you on to have a good start on women's month that we are doing. So
yeah.
your take on it.
Okay. What instantly comes to my mind, it stems from how I would like to be celebrated. Yes, definitely, I would want to be celebrated.
Okay.
So there are two parts to it. I feel one, I would want to be celebrated for who I am, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just the way I am, no changes, nothing, no expectation, but this is who I am. So just accept me, embrace me for who I am. So that's how I would want to be celebrated. And the
Okay.
second part of it is, it starts by me celebrating myself. So it's not about me demanding that you celebrate me or ex celebrates me or my husband celebrates me. Surely, I feel that's a natural thing which happens when I am celebrating myself. So yeah, that's where I am.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So jumping on to the topic, let's dive in on your inputs on some of the pointers that I would like to discuss. What is the first moment in your career when truly realized you need a voice? And that voice, how did it change to lead and influence others?
Yeah, love that question, Prem. When did I realize? I think I struggled with inauthentic expression, which means not owning my voice, not expressing myself for the longest time that I can recall from my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
When did I realize that I really want this? I'm craving for it. I wasn't aware. I think I craved for it all the time because the whole disconnect that I felt was because of authentic expression missing. But when I
Mm-hmm.
could put a finger and say that, okay, I really want this and therefore I'm willing to work on it, happened only when I started to work on myself, which is when I entered into coaching and started working with my coach. That's where I was able to say, okay, I'm done not expressing myself, done not putting myself out there. It's suffocating, it's
Mm-hmm.
tiring, it's very, very draining because when you are not expressing authentically, then you are expressing inauthentically. You're putting up masks, you're trying to project an image that you're not. And I was doing that for the longest time, so it became tiring. So I think just a few years back, I would say maybe 4 5 years back, when I said, okay, I'm done. And since then I've been on the journey of just putting myself out there, owning my authenticity. This is who I am, being more
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with that, embracing it, accepting it, and therefore expressing authentically.
Wonderful. I was recalling some statement where I had Jack Canfield talking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jack Canfield used to say that first you have to remove a mask
Mm.
to uncover what you are supposed to or what you
Mm.
are. And it is a difficult phase that happens, that you uncover yourself, and that's when you decide that you want to uncover, you find yourself much more that what you wanted to be as a person,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's what you are trying to tell me in as many as words I can see. When women often have a common problem, or I will not say problem, or it is by default, I think they self doubt themselves,
Mm.
and especially in professional spaces. What are some practical steps that you would take to build confidence in speaking up, especially when you look at leadership decisions?
Hmm. I think self doubt is a common phenomena, not just women, I'd say men also. Everybody I see, we are at some point or the other, we're doubting ourselves, and that comes from the conditioning, the limiting beliefs, all of that. There's the experiences that we've had, etc. With women, yes, I'd lay more emphasis on the whole conditioning, and especially if I see Indian society, Indian women, the way they've been brought up, and conditioned that, this is who you are supposed to be, this is how you are supposed to operate, the supposed to's, that
Mhm.
while the times have changed, women are stepping out more and more. They are working neck to neck with men, but I still would like to believe. I mean, it's not the most empowering one, but the fact remains that still the remains of that conditioning are there. Now the transition is happening, and I think the Gen Z will see a
Mhm.
more drastic shift in terms of the confidence, the power, owning themselves, owning their voice. But a lot of women, like you were talking about, this whole thing of, no, 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 I'm not supposed to do this, I'm supposed to be like this, and that's what I did, being the best everywhere all the time, fitting in, is extremely important. So personally also, I need to be right here. Professionally, of course, I want to be right here. So there's always this tussle going on. So I think if I really want to move beyond, first I need to understand that it is not something I'm born with. So the doubt that I'm going through is self-inflicted. That was my realization, that while society or parents or husband or friends or whoever you want to point fingers at, they said whatever they wanted to say, they did whatever they wanted to do, but I was the one who attached meaning to it. I was the one who said, hey, if he says this, it means this. If my dad says this, it means, oh, I'm not good enough. That was my meaning. So that brings you into a very empowering state. For me, then suddenly I felt, oh, the control is in my hand. Then if I'm attaching this meaning, then maybe I can attach some other meaning. So, what I'm trying to say here is the whole awareness is a game changer. The whole owning it up, taking charge is a game changer. So, these are things which work on the foundation. The techniques, how
Mhm.
do I speak, the skill set, all that comes in, and I can use that only as much as my foundation is strong. What that means is that when I learn to see every time, okay, I doubted myself just now, I didn't show up just now, it's okay, I didn't do it because there's this deep conditioning which I'm working on. So can I in this moment shift? Right now, oh, I didn't want to speak, or I felt I should shut up. No, I want to speak, so I'll speak up. So that is a moment by moment, turn by turn shift that happens. It's a journey, but I think it starts with awareness, knowing who I am, what are my core values, what matters to me, and then owning it up. Does that answer your question?
I, yeah, that answers my question. I wanted to bring one pointer that you
Yeah.
said here is normally what you said a very important point. We give the meaning from what the others say
Mm.
about us. That's one point. There's one pointer which I've heard about and I've read about is that uh, when somebody says your hair is green, do you believe it? You don't believe it
Mm.
because it's
Mm.
not,
Mm.
right? But if I say you are a bus, you don't believe you're
Mm.
human. But if I say you are an
Mhm.
idiot, we take it personal. So at that, I think somewhere that pointer where we say is you get attached to some words which are going to hurt you, and that's been predefined by the way we've been brought up. Now if I say an idiot, that means somebody is telling you you are an idiot, and we go get fixed to it, right?
Mm.
So that's where I think something has to. Now if you say your hair is green, you will not believe it. Say I, no, I am not, my hair is not green, and my hair is black. What are you talking about? So we go and defend ourselves. But when you say this, we don't defend ourselves. That's the point that I think one of the pointers that we should
Yeah.
learn in the point that we do. Now, coming to that point, in boardrooms and high stake
Hmm.
meetings, have you ever faced a resistance that your to your voice, and how did you navigate it? And is there any lessons that we can take from it?
Multiple times during my professional life, my corporate journey, rather, I would say all throughout. So,
Mm,
there's a difference between, oh, I'm able to speak and I can speak well, and authentic expression. I feel these are two different things, right? So I throughout my school, my the college, post graduation, my corporate days, I've been vocal. I've been on stage. I've been debates. I was the head girl of my school. So when I tell somebody that I was not expressing myself authentically, they're like, "Are you mad? What are you saying, Asta? We know you've been there. You've always been on the stage. We would look up to you." I know that that wasn't my authentic self. That was just putting up all the masks and everything. So this difference between I'm able to speak, the command over language, how well I speak, the skill set, the modulations, all that is the skill part of it. But expression, authentic expression, comes from a deeper place, which is within. So if, and the same thing, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So whatever I was dealing with in school, in college, everything, I carried it to my corporate life as well and forward as well. So when I used to be in my corporate setup, I would not walk up to my bosses and express authentically, hey, this is where I'm stuck, or this is where I need support, or I have an idea, or I have an opinion. There used to be meetings I would enter into and I would come out without speaking a word, not a single word, not because I did not have ideas, but just shut up, Asta. I mean, what if this sounds stupid? What if they laugh at you? Ki, oh, what has Asta brought in? Will this sound intelligent? Or what do I say so that they are going to say, hey, Asta's amazing? So it was always that need to first let me ascertain. And I would just keep
mm,
quiet and just not do. And same with my colleagues. What is their intention? How will they like me, not like me? My subordinates, will they think I'm a good boss or not? So it was always about pleasing, so that I could not be a boss who needed to be assertive at times, and a boss who was maybe show tough love also at times. So it just impacts the way you show up. I could not show up at my peak, not because I did not have the skill set, not because I was not capable, but the whole internal system, the whole beliefs, the whole conditioning, what I thought of about myself did not let me show up the way I wanted to. And how I think I could not navigate, because there came a point where I had quit corporate. I realized this is not something I could do all my life. And I switched careers. But what's interesting, people often talk about, oh, my passion, oh, this career is what I love to. I entered into anchoring after that. So I was with media, I was doing live events. And that's something I was very passionate about. But even the most passionate career of mine, I managed to mess up my experience there. I was good at it, yet I could not perform at my peak, the media and everywhere. I mean, I just felt, because I carried my fears and insecurities even there. So it doesn't matter where you are, till the time the alignment is there, which is what's inside is what is outside. You know, it just feels suffocating, it feels alien, it just feels disconnected. There's no joy then. So the navigation only started when I started doing the work on myself. My expression had gone for a toss, my confidence had gone for a toss. It was very superficial.
Your point is valid. I think I could refer it to myself. I will not talk about
Mm.
anybody else, because my way was always, if the point you said also was very very apt with me as well. When I ask somebody, they will get hurt.
Mm.
If I ask, maybe I look stupid. Is my question
Yeah.
right? Should I ask? These were few questions
Hmm.
always. And I've been into places where I could have turned the balls rolling, where did not work out. Then why? Because I did not speak
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
right? So that is one thing I think we should start questioning. Then I had one boss and a mentor who said to me is that you have a doubt. Now, if you don't clarify it, that is your problem, not the others. How do they interpret what your doubt is a different
Absolutely.
question. So, first clarify your doubts. Maybe you look stupid, that's okay, but you clarified your doubt. That should be the pointer that you should look, is what I was
Hmm.
told. I think I'll tell you, things started changing. I started asking, it may be
Yeah.
silly. I went and asked, I don't know. So I'm
Yeah.
asking you. My understanding is, then my boss once said is that you don't understand, then you should always say that you just have something that you can say is that, is there a point that I would like to look at in case I have a doubt. Give me a sec. I have a
Sure.
call. I'll just silence
Yeah.
it and come
Sure.
to you.
Okay. Meanwhile, I just see some of you. Hi, Mayur. Are you still there? Hello, and thank you for joining.
Yeah,
I was just saying hi to some of the
yeah,
people that I see on chats. Hi, Narendra. Thank you for joining in.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Sorry
No
about
worries.
it.
Yeah.
So there was a call. So what I understood is you clear your
Yeah.
doubts, move on, and get your things sorted out. Then you may look stupid. That's okay.
Hmm.
So looking at that, how can we
Hmm.
leaders or create an
Yeah.
environment a women's voice aren't just heard but actively shape a decision making step? And can you share an example
Hmm.
where this changed the course of the organization?
Okay. The first part where what can be done where women actually express themselves authentically. So I think it starts with the number one thing is willingness, because you cannot do anything unless I am willing to step up. Okay, nobody can do anything, so that's an individual decision. So the first decision, fundamental decision is, which I had made at some point, that okay, I'm done living this facade masked life, and I want to step out. So that's the first thing. Now when that happens, and for that there has to be an awareness. So I think the whole change, for anything to change, there needs to be an awareness about what is happening within me, the awareness that, oh, there is inauthenticity. First of all, for a lot of us, for almost everybody, that's the way of life. So I don't every day sit and say, oh, this is how I'm expressing, it is inauthentic. I don't even know it is inauthentic. It's like oxygen to me. So I can't feel oxygen. I can't say, if you tell me, oh, tell where is oxygen, I don't know. It's just there. So much part of me.
It's there.
So inauthentic expression to differentiate, impossible. Only when I start to realize, oh, there is inauthenticity, and there'll be symptoms. You'll feel disconnected. You feel, I can't take this anymore. I'm just, I feel strangulated. This is not me. I want to speak. So, awareness. Now I know that I'm not expressing authentically. Then I think it's important to see, okay, what do I want? Let me define, what do I really want? And what is holding me back there? So, what is stopping
Hmm.
me for expressing myself authentically? A lot of times, I think almost 99.9% of the times, we are not aware of what matters to us, what do we really want, what are my core values, and whether I'm holding on to them or I'm compromising with those core values. Most of the times there's a compromise happening there. So I would say it starts by getting aware of what really matters to me, what are some of the things that are like my spine, I cannot compromise on them. So if freedom is my core value, or if I take it to the professional setup, if let's say collaboration is a strength for me, is a core value for me, and I'm trying to bring in a very hyper competitive kind of an environment as a leader, as a woman leader, it'll not work. Then might as well
Hmm.
go and get the work done through teamwork, because my core value is collaboration. So aligning your working style and aligning even your personal life to what matters to you, what are your core values, what do you strongly believe in, do not try to compromise on them. The pain happens, or the disconnect starts to happen, when I have a core value and I start to compromise so that the other people are not offended, so that I can please them, so that they like me. For example, one of my core values was freedom. Is, sorry, not was, freedom. Now what does that mean? Freedom, even in terms of freedom, of course, from here, like I cannot have the clutter here and feeling, so I'll constantly keep working. But freedom even in terms of how I operate, I need more autonomy, I need my space. Right now, if I get into an organization working with a boss, or working with a business partner, or working where I'm not given that space, somebody who micromanages, there is no way I can perform to my peak. So if I'm compromising and I'm just suppressing what matters to me, then I'm killing it. Then I'm just not respecting my own self. So embracing what my values are, standing up for them, is another important thing. The third thing, which I think is very important, is setting boundaries, and creating boundaries um, in terms of how I would like to show up, and how I would like to guide people, that okay, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. So creating boundaries in that sense, creating boundaries for my own self, that okay, if this is me time, then there's no way I am going to go back to my children, or go back to my husband, or go back to my parents or my clients. No, this is my time. Nobody intrudes here. I also do not stand in my way. So just an example. So those are about boundaries, because when I don't have boundaries, then it's all jumbled up here and there. There's no structure to my life, and that's quite painful. So I think that's another one. Um, I also feel a very, very important thing is a strong support system. That has worked for me immensely. And when I say support system, I don't mean necessarily your family, or your, husband, or your, the people around you, which is, they're just there. Great if you have a support there, which is a different kind of support, but I'm saying intentional support. So if I want
Hmm.
to express myself authentically, then I need an environment where I'm pushed to express authentically, where I'm put in situations where I feel challenged to express my higher potential. And for that, I need to have a very conscious environment, maybe the kind of mentors that I want, the kind of coaches that I want, the kind of community that I want, where everybody is working towards maybe a similar kind of goal. When you're in that environment, you automatically start to perform, you automatically start to show up more powerfully. So instead of relying on just my willpower, I choose to create an environment. I choose to rely on my environment. I'm very conscious about my environment, right? I have different environments for different things, because your environment always overpowers the willpower. I'll do it. I know I can do it. No, no. The environment at some point will take over. So,
No, yeah, yeah. I can relate as many as
hmm,
when I was part of a large
yeah,
organization. You had a big team, right? So the
yeah,
team, if you motivate them and you say you can do it, no, wonders used to happen. And if you say, I think the customer is little cranky and things are not going
yeah,
to work, people also start working in that style, right? And there is problems that will come. Now, taking that as the pointers that you have
yeah.
mentioned, what would be the biggest misconception about women communication styles in leadership? How do we look at shifting the whole narrative on how the communication styles in leadership women should follow or women should look at?
Communication style. Interesting. So I think, for me, it again boils down to owning who you are. There
Hmm.
could be, in different contexts, there could be certain aspects that I uphold. For example, when it comes to authentic expression in a professional setup, I express whatever it is without fear, but I maintain the professionalism, the influence that I bring in. Okay. Same way in my
Yeah.
personal life, I express without fear, but that doesn't mean I'm just fighting battles with everybody. Oh, no, no, I have to express authentically, so I don't care. No. So,
Yeah.
depending on the context, I, manage that space, keeping the bigger goal in mind. But um, but I express openly without fear what my thoughts are, what my feelings are. And the disclaimer here is in a responsible manner. That is extremely important, right? So, how it lands on the other person is very important. So, I think if there has to be a big shift, um, on there are two things. One is on a day to day basis, it's like step up each time, show up each time for the smallest bit, like I know one of the leaders that I'm working with currently, uh, her there's a lot of sorry. Oh, sorry. I think I wasn't meant to do this, but I did. Hey, sorry, but I don't agree with what you are saying. A lot of sorry, which comes from very low self esteem, which comes from, oh my God, I dare not disagree with you, but I really want to express. So I'm sorry. So there's so much of sorry. And how about, like, do you really feel sorry? Do you really want to feel sorry for expressing yourself? She said no. Probably every woman would say, no, this is how I feel. Great. Then what could be an alternative language where you express yourself and, you do it powerfully? And that's where a sample or an example what came up was, hey, what you said, thank you for that. But I have a different perspective here. Can I go ahead and share that?
Yeah.
It's so I'm saying your language, because interestingly everything shows up in my body language, in my words spoken, everything there. So if I can only be conscious, nothing is a coincidence. Every word that comes out of my mouth and the way it comes out is actually coming from how I feel about myself within, right? So the shift needs to happen in the inner being. Like, how am I showing up? That inner work needs to happen. I see a lot of women and men too, but yeah, since we're talking women, a lot of women focusing on, let me up my communication skills, let me work on how to speak better. Good, that's very good to do, but please go down and work on the foundation first. You may get the best skill set when it comes to communication, but if you feel very low about yourself, there's no way it's going to help you. So, first, the work needs to happen on building that up. What is my belief system? Because that's going to define me. What's the thought process? That's going to define me, right? And the other thing, when it comes to, let's say, leadership, women leadership in professional spaces and all, um, own your voice and own your vision. The women
Mm.
have such beautiful visions, and I think the instant example, because every day I think I love cosmetics, so I go to Nika a lot, the Nika app. And I
Mhm.
think Falguni Nair is a great example of somebody at the age of 50, I think around 50, that's what she was, where she left a very lucrative career, banking career that she was into, and she thought of, okay, how can maybe we bring in beauty to all Indian women? How can we make it more accessible? Now, beauty is, I mean, if I were to think about it, oh, you go to a retail shop, how can I not buy without seeing it, without feeling it physically? And she brought it to online, and I think rest is history. So her brand stands for that self expression, her brand stands for inclusivity, for confidence. And the big takeaway is age is no bar. You own your voice. You just, by just following your vision, you can create what you want to create. Sudha Murthy, you have Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. These are all women who faced a lot of resistance. Indra Nui, I think, a great example of not glorifying what leadership is, but telling that, yeah, really, while I am where I am in PepsiCo, but I face these challenges. It's a male dominated industry. I face this with my family. That's authentic expression. That while I conduct
Right.
these high profile meetings, but this is what I face. And that's okay. I embrace that bit. but I choose what do I do. There's nothing right or wrong. But yeah, so I think that's the shift we would really want to see, women owning it up. So even if I'm not stepping up, I own it up. Okay, I'm not able to do it today. Yeah.
A big answer for us question. I think there's a lot of narrative that you've given
Yeah.
around. Now, uh, I would like to say one point was somewhere I was reading or somebody told me responsibility means is giving an ability to give a good response is called
Mm.
responsibility. So when you said something which says you should be in a position to respond properly, and the communication should convey what you are supposed to say in a very clear and apt manner somewhere that. So I think that was one thing that I felt apt saying, that responsibility means an ability to respond
Yeah.
is what I will take. And I will move to the next pointer that I, what is the changing or can you share a time when changing the way you expressed yourself, example like tone, choice of words, or storytelling, has completely transformed an outcome? Because when we see, I would like to add to this question somewhere is that what are movies? It's about
Mm.
storytelling, right? So how do you express something and that's transformed an
Yeah.
outcome is what I wanted to know from you.
Yeah. Totally agree. Storytelling, I believe, is the thing for a simple reason. Why do we love movies? Because there's a story, and we are able to relate with things. So um, I think for me, when it got down to coaching, and then coaching what, so I coach leaders in the area of authentic expression, because that's been my mess in life, and that's where I have moved ahead, and I'm still on that journey. But I
Okay.
feel that within that, there's a lot of vulnerability that I have been able to demonstrate. And there are a lot of stories every time in my coaching sessions or in my talks or wherever. There are a lot of stories from my life. What's happening in my life, what was a breakdown, and how did I navigate it, how did I feel, or maybe what some of my clients are going through. So picking up, the idea is to convey a message through story, because that's relatable. So
Hmm.
for me, the whole game changed in both the ways. One, it's like owning up your story. Okay, this is who I am and I'm proud of it, right? It's no more like, okay, let me show this perfect Astha, she's amazing. No, that's more of, that's like, okay, touch me not, like. But this Astha who's broken, this Astha who cries some days, this Astha who still sometimes goes into such a low, feels, oh god, will I ever be able to come out of it? But the beauty is now I can snap out of it very quickly. How long do I want to stay there is a choice that I make. So I have my mechanisms of how can I step out of that low disempowering phase. But when I'm able to share all these stories out there, so I'm owning it up, it makes me feel powerful, it reinforces. Constantly doing that is of course for other people, but it is also a practice for me to connect more and more with myself, because your brain needs evidence. I keep saying, yes, you
Hmm.
must own your story, you must talk about, you must be vulnerable, but I do not do it. Then it's just theory, and my brain has no evidence to believe that, oh, okay, this is. So I do it for myself, and I do it for other women as well, other leaders as well. And what that has done is, of course, it has changed the way I show up from the time that I'm embracing my story. And it also trickles down to, let's say, how I interact with my daughter, right? Sharing with her how I interact with my husband. It has given an expression which is like, hey, I'm not holding back. So, from a place where I would never let my husband know how I felt or what I needed from him, like we're husband and wife, to a place where no emotion on how I'm feeling, is he's the first person who gets to hear that. Like, I need to tell him. So, how I feel about certain action of his, how I felt about an interaction with a client today, or I feel I have a breakdown. Hey, you know what? This is how I'm feeling. So I'm saying, when you start to express, the first time it'll be difficult. The first time it'll feel like, oh God. The second time it'll get better. But the more you get into that, sharing your story, owning your story, it'll change the way you show up. How it'll happen? It's just going to happen inside, because you're rewiring your brain, that okay, this is my story, this is who I am, and I'm proudly owning all those wounds that I have. If I have to call those wounds, the past wounds that are there, then I'm just owning it up. And what that does for the clients in my industry, if I'm talking about, it's the same thing applies even in the corporate or anywhere. You become so relatable and approachable. So a client coming to me as a coach is not coming because I'm a perfectionist, but is coming, okay, she also goes through it, so probably she knows how to navigate this. So it just transforms the whole thing, from that perspective. Now, if you're in the corporate world and you're a leader there, a woman leader, and you're able to sit down or walk up to your team and say, hey, we have this assignment, but you know what, team, I'm feeling a little nervous today. There is so much around it that leaders think we need to know it all, we need to have it all figured out, we can't go and tell the team because we need to guard all those disempowering emotions. Well, sometimes when you go and ask for help, the people who you ask for help to feel trusted. So it's,
Exactly. So I had few pointers
yes.
here. I took a note of what you're
Hmm.
talking about. See, there were cases in my career where a customer has told, I don't want you as a project manager.
Hmm.
I've been
Yeah.
situations where, but I've been told not to come to the project on many cases.
Hmm.
But what I turned back and said is, I'm fine. I don't have a
Yeah.
problem. You've given me a project. You've not given the project to me. You've given it to my
Hmm.
organization. I can go and another project manager will come in. But imagine a delay that you are
Hmm.
having because of this
Hmm.
change, right? And if that change you are acceptable, I'll convince the management saying that these are the things that we are not able to correlate or we are not able to agree. Okay, there is some discrepancy that you are talking about and which is not mentioned and stuff like that. I'm happy to do your project, and if you don't want me to do, I'm
Hmm.
okay. But getting a new project manager will take
Hmm.
time. You can escalate, this is my boss's number, this is his mail id, you can write to him, you speak to him, this you can, I am here, you can
Yeah.
speak. And that guy says, how can you tell that, sir? I am doing a project which is given to you. You gave me an opportunity to do a project. Now you don't want me, you are saying it up, and I am saying what I am feeling it, right? So now there are two options that we can
Hmm.
look at. So one was we work on the project, sit and understand where we don't agree, and we move on, and we'll see how to figure out what we are not agreeing. And the second option is I can change the
Hmm.
project manager. I can change and get you somebody. But my boss has given me an authority saying that I can go to this
Hmm.
project. Things have changed. Today, those customers are very close to me, and after 10 years, also, I'm able to pick up a call and tell them that, hey, this is Prem here talking.
Hmm.
So that connect of my
Yeah.
projects and my
Yeah.
team has helped me to be very open. And my team members who were part of my this one today also, if you go and say, if I call my team members, they will pick up my call
Hmm.
because we've never been a boss and a
Hmm.
subordinate. We've always been a colleague. And I've told in many of the meetings where what we have discussed is, you make me a manager, then I'll have to manage
Hmm.
people. Make me a team member, I'll work with you. So this
Okay.
is one thing that you were
Yeah.
saying, right? That fear, when I open it up
Yeah.
to people, they will openly talk to you. But if you put that wand and say, I will control you, people are supposed to be managed, not to be controlled,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's
And just to add to that, you can actually, a big challenge in professional setups, in corporate specifically, are these relationships. Man women, man man, matlab, it's just so much there. And I can tell you a lot of people are stuck only because of lack of that expression. They're just stuck
Right.
because of that. If they can only walk up and have a heart to heart conversation, I've had clients who've just turned not speaking at all to their counterparts to collaborating beautifully, working together on the projects and all. That's the kind of shift and turnaround that they've created for themselves. Just expressing yourself.
Now, taking that point, many women
Mm,
struggle with the balance of assertiveness and
mm.
approachability. What is the secret in striking the right balance? Your views on it.
Between assertiveness and okay,
Approachability.
and could you elaborate what is the context? What do you mean by um,
People think that if I am assertive, that means I am not
oh,
approachable,
okay.
right? That's that way. Women struggle that. If I say assertively
Yeah.
something,
Mm.
then I am in that junction where I will not be approachable
Mm.
afterwards.
Yeah.
They will brand me with
Yeah.
something. That kind of a
Yeah. Yeah.
pointer,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
So if another pointer where I wanted to say is, if I say something, we discussed this in the start
Yeah.
of the session, where we said if I put something, they may think bad about me,
Hmm.
right? So that's the point that I want to bring a
Yeah.
balance or a struggle where when you assert something and then you are not approachable. So how do we strike that balance is what I want to understand.
Hmm. I think, first of all, both of these things, whether it is assertiveness or it is the approachability, all of these are things which you can't, these are not like accessories. Okay, today I'm going to be assertive, so let me wear assertiveness or let me wear approachability. I want to be, it's not something external, it comes from within, right? So, I could not be assertive like I was sharing for a long, long, long time. I was doing well in my corporate and yet could not. So it comes from the internal belief system. What do I feel about myself? My belief was I'm not good enough. When I'm not even good enough, where am I even in the capacity to assert myself? I'm not good enough. Huh? So the first thing, whether assertiveness or approachability in that sense, it just comes from what I believe within. Now,
Mm,
both
mm,
these, to me, I think they beautifully complement each other rather than it's like either or situation. It's not. um,
yeah.
for us it comes from when we try and make a choice, it comes from that conditioning again, that how am I supposed to be? No, 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 let me please people and therefore I need to be approachable and let me not be assertive. Or there are a lot of women who'll be very assertive, sometimes even at the risk of being aggressive, from assertive to aggressive,
Mm,
and the other part goes away. So I think you definitely can be both these things. And it there are multiple ways of practicing that. It could be setting the context very clearly, which means if, let's say, you're working in a team, right, and you are the
mm,
leader, the woman is the leader, and rather than leaving things open for people to expect, a lot of times we leave it on expectations. Can we have agreements? Can we know that, okay, this is what the work will look like and this is what we're going to do, and have clear boundaries so that the team is very clear when we're having fun or when we're chit chatting. Oh, we're chit chatting, we're laughing, she's approachable, I can share. I need to walk up to her and let her know I'm struggling, then I can do that. But then when it comes to work, she means business. Yeah.
mm,
So then, and that I can do in a very beautiful, people get it. People get it that your assertiveness means business, means no nonsense. And that doesn't take away from the love that you bring to the table. It doesn't. And they get it that right now, okay, I can approach her, I can talk to her. She's there standing right besides me. But then when it comes to work, I can't be a crybaby. Then let me just show
mm.
up. And I've seen women do that beautifully. They are there, they're approachable. But when then it comes to work, it's about you just being assertive. So I think it comes from, again, 100% comes from how I feel about myself, because I can't fake it. Okay, today I'm going to be
Yeah.
assertive, let me practice, I'll speak these four sentences. No, what you're speaking and how you're showing up are not aligned at all. So it'll not reach.
Taking that point, what is one underrated communication skill that every leader should master to drive influence in today's market? That's because drastic change in the way
Hmm.
people work, drastic way the people
Yeah.
understand, quick things they want, instant results, instant food, instant
Yeah.
health, instant everything, right? So how do we look at
One
that
thing.
influence?
One thing which is very, very underrated, I feel, is much talked about, but still underrated, underpracticed, is listening, I feel.
One of the biggest problem that we have, we don't we don't listen, we listen to respond is what I would give that
Yes.
pointer. Very, very
Yeah.
true, right?
That's a game changer. If you can practice listening, and I know a lot of leaders say, hey, I'm really good and I practice it a lot. I say, okay, great. What's next level for you? And you can't measure. The only way you know you are a good listener is by how it's landing there, how people show up in your presence, and how's your team doing. All of that will tell you. But I've seen
Mhm.
biggest of the things turn around, challenges, conflicts sorted, solutions emerging, everything happening just by listening. And listening means 100% active, curious listening. You're there for the other person.
With this, I will take another pointer where I think you're bringing up most of my pointers there, actually. Hasta.
Paper lead.
A leader is a person who speaks last,
Hmm.
is what I heard. I think in a boardroom or something, and I think somewhere I was listening to Steve
Hmm.
Jobs
Hmm.
yesterday. How is that you take people to your organization, or how is Apple being a great organization, right? He made it very simple. You have the A level
Hmm.
guys at A level. You look at people who listen, kind. So they'll give you the best ideas, and the person who takes notes is the next level. Who- he listens to and he takes notes of whatever you speak, and he beautifully summarizes right at the end of the session or end of the discussion, and he says, now this stands with you, this stands with you, and this is your vision, this is
Yeah.
the outcome, right? That's one thing I think listening is. I took your question, I asked the question, I took back the answer as well with you.
And you
So,
you said a great thing, because I do that in some of my sessions with my coach. When my coach is coaching and
okay.
I'm there supporting him, one of the roles that
Hmm.
I take is every coaching. What's the highlight? What's the context of that coaching? And what was one highlight that emerged? Now that means if it's a
Okay.
4 hour coaching session, if it's an 8 hour, I cannot miss a word, right? And
Yeah.
that's a great way to practice listening, to practice presence, 100% present. So I think you brought in a great point. Those people who really want to practice listening, as well as the attention, multiple things: listening, attention, focus, being present, not getting distracted, learning to come back very quickly. Consciously tell your bosses, your even if there are team meetings, that I am going to be the one who's going to take down the minutes or the notes, and at the end of it I'm going to share. So I'm the one. Do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful, Asta. I think we are running
Yeah.
short. I'll take a last question and then we will look at some of the pointers and I'll summarize on what we
Sure.
spoke as well, right? Now, what, as we talked about human centric leadership a lot, but what does that really look like in action? Can you share some point or a moment where leading with empathy changed the entire
Hmm.
game per
Hmm.
se in that leadership or human centric approach,
Yeah.
right?
Human centric leadership. um,
Yeah.
so a lot, I think, in different, the terminologies are different in different ways, different terms are being coined for leadership styles and all of it. And I think at the core of it is some traits, some strengths that we are talking about, some emotions that we're talking about, all of that. Uh,
Yeah.
I think we need to understand one thing, that we are all emotional beings. Whether we talk of competition, we are talking of goals, we're talking of targets, we're talking of taking it to the next level, everything. But who's running it all is human beings, and you cannot take away emotion from human beings. So, what empathy, or I think when we say what business are you into, I may say I'm in textiles, I'm in real estate, I'm in beauty cosmetics. Essentially we are all in the business of people, because I can't operate alone. So I have a team, or I have my
Mhm.
business partners, or whatever. So when it comes to working with other people, the connection is the first and the most important thing. It's all about human connection. And therefore, if I do not work on my people skills, if I do not work on how I connect with people, how do I leave them feeling, how do they show up in my presence, if I'm not working on that, then I may be very good at what I do in terms of skill set, technical stuff. But when it comes to growing as a leader, the more you grow, the scope increases. If I'm not expanding there, it won't work. Your people are not going to love being there. And when they don't love being there, they are not going to show up at their 100%. When they don't do that, obviously everything suffers. The whole work is not going to be a joy. So I feel that human centric leadership, if I use the same term, backed by empathy, is a non negotiable. Having said that, that doesn't take away, at times showing up the tough love, bringing in pressure, holding people accountable. It's extremely important to balance all of these. But even when there is tough love, even when there is pressure, people can sense that empathy is not gone. The fact
Yeah.
that you're giving me pressure or you're bringing in that tough love is because you want me to grow, because you can see in me that potential that maybe I can't see. You don't want me to underplay the whole thing. Just an example. So that could be. So I feel, I realize that sometimes I'm very conscious when let's say I talk to some of my team members. How can I bring in that fine blend of empathy, and also at the same time deliverables and all those, holding them accountable. I think only yesterday I was talking to one of the team members, and it was a tough call whether to retain her or to like her services or to let her go. And um, and I think the conversation that we had was beautiful, because I set it up for myself that where am I coming from. So it's important that you set a context for yourself before any interaction, whether it's your team member, whether it's your colleague, whether it is your boss. um,
Mm.
you set the context that where am I coming from. It's coming from a place of empathy, it's coming from a place of no judgment, it's coming from a place of this person is amazing, he means well, and we are looking at a solution. Set it up for yourself, and I think that just turns around the whole communication. But it's extremely important, human centric.
Okay, great. So I would like to summarize on the pointers that we
Yeah,
discussed, Asta. We spoke about the power of expression and how impactful communication is, some of the misconceptions that we
yeah,
spoke about, and what does the tonality of a voice mean, right? And how do you tell a story which is powerful is what I think that we discussed, and some of the steps where you can build confidence. Look at how we can come out of self
mm,
doubt, be assertive, and differentiate between assertiveness and approachability. Because I see some comments which I think I'll read it out to you, where Archana from R, this one says, assertiveness is sometimes taken as rudeness. Okay, so we spoke about that kind of pointer there. And some of the pointers that we also discussed was how women struggle to strike that balance, and that's what we spoke about. And we spoke about human centric leadership and the styles that need to be taken care is what we spoke about in the discussion today. Any other pointers that you would like to ask before I go into the comments that I have? And One, you have
No, I think we'll
anything,
go with the
Asta?
comments. If something comes up there, I'll be happy to share. Yeah.
Okay. So from Insta side, I have Archana, who's put two questions where she said one is that assertiveness is sometimes taken as rudeness, and she said some of the pointers which you spoke are absolutely true, and that's how we should look at the assertiveness pointer, that I think what she spoke about. And I have one person says good questions. I'll bring that here. I think
Yeah, I can see that.
Mayu Vedi has said that, and he's put another question. He's saying, first of all, introduce Mr. Prem Kumar. I don't know you, so give me your introductions. My name is Prem Kumar. Again, I'll give my introduction. I run this podcast with the leaders, and I've been running this podcast for the last 219 episodes. I work as a CTO for eCosmos, and this is my passion. So look out me. We'll speak if you want to speak. I can give you more details on that, Mayur. That's one thing. And there is one pointer again from Narendra Singh who says it's great. I don't get what is this. It says,
I think
I think there's a
that was at a
flask.
point when we were talking, and he may have felt, oh, it's great. You just mentioned,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. So these are the pointers. Before we conclude, you have any
Yeah,
thoughts
I think
around any pointer that you would
what
like to
Archana said.
put across?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What
Go ahead.
Archana
Go
said
ahead. Go ahead.
about assertiveness is often taken as rudeness. Yeah, maybe
Mm,
it does happen, but that happens with everything. We are misunderstood, but I think the best way there is understanding that assertiveness is non-negotiable. Like, because you think it is rude, do I want to stop being assertive? Number one. So it is understanding that assertiveness is about, if this is what it is, this is what it is. We need to move ahead. So that's
mm,
one. The second thing is, so it's not about me, it's about the other person. Maybe it's coming from their conditioning of, oh, being a woman, how can she talk like that? Maybe.
mm,
So there's a lot of that conditioning around, which, by the way, doesn't define you, and it doesn't mean you need to hold back. It's about them. And the other thing is, having a lot of times assumptions, we play on assumptions. Okay, you said this, that means you did not like me being assertive, and I assume that you may not have said that to me. So can I go back and
yeah.
clarify, have a conversation? If there's somebody you're working with every day, you don't want to sit on assumption and break your head over it. So come back, hey Prem, I just feel that there's something which is not working. Do you want to talk about what happened yesterday? And then create an environment where Prem can openly say, hey, I didn't like this whole thing. Okay. So creating an agreement around it doesn't mean I have to suppress my assertiveness. Yeah, that's all that I wanted to say.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think very valid point. We should give a place for them to express and say, "This is where I understood," or "This is what I took as your pointer," and this is what is coming up. And do you have your view or an input that you can
Yeah.
take or give on?
And just one last thing, because women do this a lot. Everybody is my responsibility. How everybody feels is my responsibility. No, it is not.
Yeah,
It took
it's
me a
not correct.
while to understand that. But when I did, there's so much guilt that comes in. Oh my God, I'm not paying attention to this. Oh my God, I'm not available for this. No, it's the other person's journey. I can be there for them, but I can't own that journey.
Exactly. Thank you, Asta. It's been great having you, and it's always has an amazing session that you've been. For this, I think we have streamed this session onto YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Insta. And Asta has we've tested something, and Asta has streamed it to her page
Yeah.
as well. So look at her page as well for that. And we are doing a women's special podcast on the 8th of March, and that's a women's day special. We are talking about breaking barriers with AI, how women are leading the tech revolution on 8th March at 2:30 p.m. on a Saturday. And this is a special episode. It's not in the series that we had looked at. This is planned as on an hour back, and we want to do something on for the Women's Day special. So that's how we are bringing this. And That will be at 2:30 p.m., not at 6:30 p.m. So I would like people to look at this episode and join us and celebrating the women leadership around. So with that, I would like to
I
conclude the
I
session.
just want to
Thank you.
say
Yeah,
30 seconds. I really want to acknowledge you, Prem, because it'll be incomplete if we don't acknowledge you on this occasion. You're talking about Women's Day, but you were
yeah,
asking me how can we help or support women to express more. I think it's men like you who are so committed to, and this is not about this episode, but I know I've been associated with your cause, this platform, for a while. So I know how committed you are to women expressing themselves, women being in the limelight, showing up, and it's incredible, it's amazing. So hats off to you for this commitment of yours, and I think need more men like that.
thank you. It's a honor.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Asta. And thank you for being with us for the episodes. Your time is valuable for us, and we are honored to have you on our
Pleasure.
sessions. Thank you, and bye for
Bye
now,
bye.
Asta. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.